Hey cats, what's happening? Good evening. Welcome to a rainy day here in Northeast Ohio. It is a Memorial Day weekend, and with that there were a few biker runs going on around our community, around our area, and I'm not I'm not going to ride today. It's awfully wet and messy. The temperatures are going down. So if you get wet today, you're not going to have fun. Of course, I got full rain gear and everything, but it's just not worth it to me. I'll stay in where it's dry. But that's one thing you'll see around here are a lot of bike runs. You know, a lot of, I guess for the most part, they're poker runs. So either that or you'll just see a group of people riding together. Some of those groups can be, up to maybe a dozen people. Doesn't mean they're on a poker run or anything, but some of the runs can get pretty large, where you can get hundreds of motorcycles. I remember back years ago riding on a poker run with a very large group of motorcycles. And I remember how thrilling it was just to go through a small little town on a weekend, a nice sunny weekend, and see all the people standing out on the street waving as all the motorcycles went by. I think they find it kind of a thrill. But people that aren't really involved in the motorcycle culture can see large groups like that as what they call a motorcycle gang. Now, when I grew up, I referred to them as gangs too. Although they're not particularly a gang, they are a motorcycle club, if it's an organized club. There's a difference between a gang and a club. So right offhand, if you're going to talk about a motorcycle club, or for short, MC, the top 6 clubs that are listed, and this may vary by definition, I'm not quite sure, but the Sons of Silence is not a real large club, but they started in Colorado in 1966, and they're pretty much known for their reputation, the Sons of Silence. And then you have the Vagos, V-A-G-O-S. They are a California club that was started in 1965. The Mongols are another California club started in 69. The Pagans were from Maryland, and they started in 59. Going back also to 1966, the Banditos began down in Texas. The Outlaws, who are more local to our area, we do see Outlaws, and I have been in company of them. 1935 from Illinois. And then last but not least, the Hells Angels, another California club who started in 1948. So the Outlaws were 1935, and they claim to actually precede the Hells Angels, who were in 1948. Like I said, though, some of those facts can be argued, whether they're here or there. Those are the top 6 clubs, and there's many, many, many other clubs. Some of them are what are referred to as 1% clubs. Some of them are not so notorious, I guess, as I would say. And some of them, when you get into the definition of clubs, some of them aren't even called clubs. They're called charters or brotherhoods. There's a lot of strange politics that go on in the motorcycle club culture. There's like an echelon, the ones at the top, the big names, and then there's sub clubs that run off of that. But I guess the main reason for my discussion today was, are they a club or are they a gang? Because as you go way back, they were always called motorcycle gangs. When I was a kid, they were called, and the public refers to them as motorcycle gangs. But if you've had any communication with a club member, the first thing they're going to tell you is, We are not a gang. It's a club. It's a club, not a gang. So, what's the difference between the club and the gang? Well, there's a lot of difference, you know. When you talk about a gang, a lot of the gangs that we see nowadays are inner city, big city gangs. And there's some small community gangs too, but they're not as prevalent as the bigger cities. The gangs can be ethnic related, and they're usually very violent, territorial. They have a specific territory that they stay in. That's their area. They fight to the death to maintain that territory. Now, as far as bringing on new prospects or gang members, there's usually a brief initiation. You know, they might beat you up or something of that nature, and you're in the club or you're in the gang. Now, motorcycle club initiations can be a little different. Motorcycle clubs aren't specifically territorial to one area. They can be all over the country, different chapters of these clubs. Although some of them do prefer to have, you know, their state that they claim. There can be multiple clubs in a state. And nowadays, I mean, we're in 2021. We haven't seen a whole lot of motorcycle club violence, at least nothing, you know, that's made mainstream media. Although I'm sure it is out there. But when you look at gang activity, there's a lot of violence that goes on continually. Now, the motorcycle clubs, you know, you don't just decide you're going to be a member of that club. There's a great big initiation period that could take years to become a motorcycle club member. If you wanted to join one of these notorious 1% clubs, it might not be so easy. It's almost like being married to a family. So it's a little much more difficult to get online with a motorcycle club than it is a street gang. So there's a difference there. So the motorcycle clubs don't call them a gang, you know. They don't want to be related in that sense of the word. They want to be known as a club. Now, where do the motorcycle clubs stand today? There's still a lot of them. They're saying that memberships have declined, that the millennials have lost interest in those type of clubs. The clubs are opening up their membership to, you know, more members now than they did back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. But still, their memberships are dropping. And like I said, you don't see any of the crazy law-breaking violence that we've seen in the past with some motorcycle clubs. In fact, a lot of them are doing things nowadays, try to make a better name for themselves. Fundraisers for needy and for you know, homeless, or maybe somebody that's injured, or you know, somebody that's very ill that needs help with medical attention. They're good to raise funds and drives for those kind of things. Toys for Tots, you know, are a big one. So, you know, they're trying to improve their image. They don't want that image of being, you know, lawless hooligans. Although, as I've said before, whenever you have a club, no matter if it's a church group, there can always be some bad apples in every kind of a group. So you're still going to get maybe, you know, drug dealings or gun dealers and things like that. And it doesn't specifically label the entire club as being gun dealers or drug dealers. but there are some in the club that may be involved with that kind of thing. So, you know, labels, people like to throw labels up, and they like to categorize people and clump them all together and push them all into a pile, but you can't always do that. So that's the discussion today on, is it a club or is it a gang? I'd like to say if you're in a motorcycle club, it can be a good thing. If you're in a street gang, I don't see street gangs doing much good. In fact, there's a lot of power plays, a lot of stabbings, shootings, killings, robberies, drug abuse, gun stuff. Yeah, so you're not going to see that so much in the motorcycle clubs anymore. Well, that's my story for today. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the videos. And until next time, cats, catch you later.